Destruction Darius 2 looks like arse. And judging from the comments in the previous video, that's what a lot of you judge a game on. And you're going to be sorely disappointed with this video because I have no intention of making this game pretty anytime soon. This is intentional. Needless details only get in the way of making the game. The more unnecessary stuff I add, the more I'll have to tear down when tweaking with the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So in case it isn't obvious, yes, this game will be getting pretty graphics, sounds and effects, but the gameplay is my main priority right now, as it should be for you too. I mean, pretty graphics can only get you so far once you start playing the game. And I myself have been bad with this in the past. When working on a sequel, it's all too easy to get caught up in the new exciting features and stuff. But if I want this to be bigger and better than the original, it needs strong foundations, solid, reliable core gameplay. And that's what I've been doing. And I've now reached the point where the gameplay is up to the same stage as the original. I keep looking at this and thinking, nah, surely not. I must be missing something. But no, every object from the original is here, as well as the health and end goal system. All that's missing is the polish. And it makes a big difference to how satisfying the game feels, even for me. But I've got to remain strong and to focus on what matters. I will eventually do the polish, and I'll do it better than in the original. But for now, try to turn a blind eye to the graphics as I talk you through how the gameplay is better than the original in every way. For the first game, I made all of the gameplay mechanics in just one day, and I think I did a pretty good job. But with Destruction Darius 2, I've dedicated entire evenings to just a tiny fraction of the game, like getting the boulders to bounce correctly. This might seem silly at first. I mean, how much satisfaction can a bouncing boulder give you, even if it's the most rounded and polished boulder on Earth? I'd say about 20% more than the original games could. Diminishing returns are clearly present here, but I think that extra 20% can make all the difference between a good game and an excellent one. I hope to apply the same amount of love to every bit of Destruction Darius 2 to make it a worthy sequel. I found ways of improving things that I didn't even know needed changing. All it takes is time to experiment and to think about what really worked and what didn't with the first game's formula. Yet, even though I started this game from scratch, a lot of it is the same as the first. I wouldn't blame you for not noticing the differences. The brick walls still take 2 explosions to break. Wooden crates still fire out splinters, and yes, they're still as terrifying as ever. But I don't think you'll be able to go back to the first once you've played this one. It's the simple things. Instead of a mysterious red health bar at the bottom, you now have a basic 5-point system. Some things take 1 away, others 2. When you get hurt in this game, it's easy to understand what it means and why it happened, which is something I always found a little vague in the original. About a decade ago, I made an above-view shooter, but unfortunately lost the file. It was pretty much just a controllable character and about 6 weapons, but each and every one of them had about a dozen ways in which they could be used. For example, there was a taser that would shoot out a spark a small distance, but it wouldn't ever reach the end if you spun around, so you could repeatedly fire it to build up a super powerful attack before releasing it. You could use it to block bullets if fired at just the right time. The attack could even go through walls slightly if you stood in the right place. Every weapon in this demo of mine had enough complexity to master that you could quite happily play through entire games with just one of them. It's a game I'd very much like to try again at some point, but for now, the mines in Destruction Darius operate in a similar way. Left and right click still throws mines different distances, but the timings have been adjusted. Shorter throws explode sooner and can be thrown faster, which I hope will raise the skill ceiling as people master the art of compromise between speed versus safety. If you throw a short distance immediately followed by a long, the shot will detonate and blast a longer one across the level. It's a simple system with a vast amount of opportunities. For the sake of gameplay, I've sacrificed realism. Your character can still only throw them in 32 different directions. I could have made this higher. I really could have. But fewer angles makes it easier to line shots up and rewards practicing of tactics. Only the very centre of the mine is solid. This means that it will pass through walls a bit instead of clipping the corner and bouncing off, which was annoying in the original. Everything on screen is 50% larger, which lets me add more detail to things at the expense of view distance. I know how frustrating this can be if done too much. Dragon Mine 2 sprites were so large you couldn't even see from one end of a room to the other, and it ultimately ruined what was so fun from the original game. But don't worry, the resolution has also been upped and the gameplay works well at 1280 by 720, Full HD and even at 4K. I intend to get this game working for all setups, and the screen and everything on it scales to any dimension. I'm making sure that the whole game runs smoothly, even when there are hundreds of explosions going off. The amount the screen shakes depends on how far away from them you are when the mines detonate. I've been careful to ensure that it doesn't obscure your vision, and it's very easy to see what's dangerous and what isn't. Only stone walls now produce dangerous boulders when they're destroyed, and only in very small quantities, so it should be easier to see where they'll land, and you'll have no one to blame but yourself if you end up getting crushed. I think this remedies the main complaint I had with the original game. Don't get me wrong, I reckon the sequel could have worked if I kept it all the same but just added more objects, levels and features. But I haven't just done that. Even now, with an identical level to the original, Destruction Darius 2 already plays better. Maybe just 20% better. But 20% better in every way. And when you feel that difference dozens of times a minute, it quickly adds up. Now it gets exciting as I venture into unexplored territory. I can either polish what's here, or keep it looking like arse, but add new and exciting features. And I think I'll probably do that and keep this game in the ugly chrysalis stage for a bit longer.